Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. On today's show, we're taking a look at the Cowboys' needs with the NFL draft almost here. So we've updated our list. At number one, it is the cornerback spot. Now, I'm not talking about depth. You're fine when it comes to your number threes, your number fours, your number fives, whatever. What the Cowboys need, though, is a legitimate number one cornerback. I don't believe that guy exists right now in free agency. And you might have a tricky time getting one in the draft, especially if you end up missing out on someone early in round one. But you have Chidobe Awuzie, Jourdan Lewis, Anthony Brown, Maurice, Canady, Goodwin. That last guy mostly for special teams. That's not bad when it comes to the depth. But there's no number one. And then beyond that, only Anthony Brown among the notable guys on that cornerback list. He's the only one under contract beyond the 2020 season. So come 2021 free agency, as we sit right now, Chidobe Awuzie, Jourdan Lewis, Maurice Canady, and CJ Goodwin, all of them are free agents, which means you could see the Cowboys potentially explore, hey, maybe if we don't get a corner in round one, maybe we try double dipping in the second round of the NFL draft, in the potential third and fourth rounds of the NFL draft. But because you do not have a number one guy, because you lost Byron Jones, for me, cornerback is the Cowboys' single biggest need right now. I know there are other spots the Cowboys could pursue as well, and we'll dive into those in a little bit. But I want to hear from you. What is the Cowboys' biggest need right now? Do you think, and you agree with me, that it's corner? Do you think it's a different spot that I'm sure we'll dive into here in a little bit? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section, what the Cowboys' single biggest need is. Number two, and this one might surprise you guys, it's wide receiver. Yeah, maybe not the route you guys thought I was going to go. You use three receivers, and right now you've got two. That's the reality of the situation. You've got Amari Cooper, you've got Michael Gallup. Beyond that, it's Devin Smith, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, Ventel Bryant, everyone's favorite pet cat last year, John Vay Johnson. None of those guys can truly be a number three. Could they be a number four and number five? Maybe they surprise too? Well, sure, of course that's possible. But you need a number three receiver out there, especially in 2020, when your number three receiver is out there a ton. Randall Cobb played nearly 65% of the snaps in the Cowboys, rotated receivers probably more than they should have last year. So you've got to find somebody who's going to be out on the field a ton. For reference, we'll dive into defensive tackle. Only one defensive tackle played that amount of snaps last year for the Cowboys. You need a number three receiver in today's NFL. The good news is it is a fantastic draft class. Even though it's need number two, you might not have to address that necessarily in round one or even in round two. Now, we've done several mock drafts here at the Cowboys Report, but do you guys want a fan-led Cowboys mock draft? If you do, just type me in the comment section. If we get to 600 comments, we will do one, probably on our next live show on Thursday. So if you want that, guys, just type me in the comment section, spam it, and we'll let you guys run a Cowboys mock draft. All right, on now to need number three. That is defensive tackle. Now, the Cowboys, I believe, are trying to set themselves up to where they don't have to take a certain spot in round one or in round two. But regardless, they're going to have to get some more bodies on the defensive line. Gerald McCoy comes in. Dontari Poe is there. I listed Joe Jackson defensive tackle because he can play inside some. I want to get him on the screen, but he's a defensive end in the end. Antoine Woods is an ERFA, so he should be that because I haven't seen an official word on that front. And then there's Tristan Hill, who, might end up being a bust. McCoy and Poe are on the wrong side of 30. You at least need some youth there on the defensive line. The Cowboys historically have used guys like Tyrone Crawford on the interior, but you also still need depth there. You need more bodies, and you need young ones you can develop along. And the Cowboys have sustained some significant losses on the interior. Malik Collins, he was DT number one last year, 70% of the snaps. He's gone. Christian Covington, still a free agent, so maybe he could be back. Same with Michael Bennett, but I'm not counting on them right now. 44.58. Michael Bennett, almost 40. Kerry Hyder, who was a DE defensive tackle, he's now in San Francisco. And I threw in Daniel Ross on there. He didn't actually play, but he's joined the Rod Marinelli, getting the crew back together again over in Las Vegas. Now, we have told you guys before about the Fatties Only 2020 campaign. Now you can get on board with the movement with a Fatties Only 2020 t-shirt. They are available at chatsports.com/fatties only. Shout out to Teespring for hooking us up. chatsports.com/fatties only. I will put that link in the comments. It's in the description as well. Go click and go shop. Available right now in blue and navy. chatsports.com/fatties only if you guys want to get in on the movement today. Moving on now to safety, and again, a common theme starting to emerge here. You can survive in year one. You can survive in 2020 if you don't take a safety. You signed Clinton-Dix. You have Xavier Woods as well, too. I think solid starters relative to what the Cowboys have had before. But again, long term, you're really not in great shape because Xavier Woods, Clinton-Dix are both free agents after this season ends. Darian Thompson is a special teamer mostly. He's a backup too, I guess, but he's not a guy you want starting. Donovan Wilson couldn't get on the field last year, so you don't want to bank on him. So if you're the Cowboys, you should have interest in adding a safety, be it a potential box guy, be it someone who can play deep, because you don't know what it's going to look like beyond this season. You do have two starting caliber safeties right now, Clinton-Dix and Xavier Woods, and it's funny to me, their 2019 stats, borderline eerily similar. Clinton-Dix didn't miss as many tackles, didn't have the same tackle for loss record. They had identical pass breakups, interceptions, a little bit more on the yards allowed side for Clinton-Dix. He was targeted just a little bit more frequently because, everyone picked on Chidobe Awuzie instead for the Dallas Cowboys. But you've got two guys that could play free safety, might be best at the free safety spot, but I suspect that Xavier Woods will hang out a little bit more in the box. Remember, early on in his career, he was almost a nickel corner for the Cowboys. So hanging out in that area is something he's been able to do before. But the Cowboys, if they find value at safety, should absolutely consider taking one early in the 2020 NFL Draft. All right, moving on now to edge rusher. I don't know where to put this. Now, this is in reality defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, but we'll group them all together. Pass rushers are edge guys, be it standing up or having their hand in the ground. You're fine at one spot for sure. That is DeMarcus Lawrence. It's the other spot and the rotational pieces that, are you really going to roll with that? Tyrone Crawford, if healthy, is a nice, do the dirty work type of guy. You have Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory if they get reinstated. Are you going to bank on them 100%? That seems a little bit risky, but if it turns out, maybe those guys help you out on the edge. Now, Aldon Smith's deal, the updates here, no guaranteed money, but there is some of it if he gets reinstated, but that's not guaranteed right now, so it doesn't count. It's a one-year deal with up to $4 million, so it ends up being a little bit closer to a vet minimum deal, but he hasn't played since 2015. We didn't see Randy Gregory last season. Dorrance Armstrong, Joe Jackson didn't make much of an impact, so there is a lot of uncertainty around the Cowboys when it comes to the edge rusher spot. Jalen Jelks didn't play either. So what's your confidence level in the pass rush? Rate this for me on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 1 being you are freaking out and you think the Cowboys might not even get a single sack next year. 10 being you have supreme confidence. You have no doubt that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a dominant pass rush next year. Let me know in the comment section, 1 to 10. This year, the Cowboys and the NFL released their new draft hats. You can get one today at chatsports.com/Cowboys draft hat. Once again, that's in the comments and the description. They are black this year. I think there might be a gray version as well. Different styles, though, the flat bill and the more rounded bill. I am very pleased by these hats because in recent years, quite simply, they've sucked. They haven't been good hats. They've been awful. They were trying to do way too much. These are much more simple, much more just easy to look at. They look so much better. I finally want to get a Cowboys draft hat. The first time that's been the case for quite a while now. You can get one today at chatsports.com/Cowboys draft hat. Number 6, the interior offensive line. This became a need because, Travis Frederick called it a career and retired unexpectedly. At minimum, the Cowboys now need depth on the interior of the offensive line. And Frederick's loss was a big deal. That hurt the Cowboys because even if you can survive on the interior of the offensive line, guess what you're probably not going to be able to do? Find a top flight center like Frederick. That pick, which I admit I didn't like at the time, worked out wonderfully for Dallas. But now he's not on this roster. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do on the interior of that offensive line. The good news for the Cowboys, you do have some options. You have some flexibility here because Joe Looney, Connor McGovern, those two might battle for the center role. But if McGovern wins that job, maybe Looney's your backup center. He can play some guard in a pinch too, but that leaves instead of two great backups, one at center, one at guard, and McGovern and Looney, with Williams also coming off of injury, by the way. Well, now you're a little bit thin in terms of having two backups that you trust. Maybe that's Adam Redmond. I'm not convinced that it is. I'm not going to trust Cody Winchman or Marcus Henry. Ideally, I think the Cowboys would like to be able to go 6 deep or total on the interior, have a backup at each spot. As of right now, they don't have one. Maybe they explored the undrafted free agency market. Maybe they could get a Ron Leary on the cheap. But even if you trust Williams to be healthy, a big question mark right now, you're probably still looking for depth. That is also the case for number 7. That is offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the tackle position, starting-wise, you're in really good shape. Tyron Smith still plays at a high level, but the injuries are a concern. La'el Collins was great last year. That contract, unlike the most, actually looks really, really good for the Cowboys. But they did not pick up the option on Cam Fleming. He is now a member of the New York Giants. Do you have a swing tackle? Is that Brandon Knight? Maybe it is. Maybe you still want to bring in some more competition. But I think offensive line in general, you can't keep throwing premium picks at it. You've invested so much already. So instead, maybe they choose to go with a cheaper option, let people compete for that backup swing tackle role. Number 8 on my list, it is linebacker. I know some of you want to take a linebacker early. I don't get it. I don't think that makes sense because as of right now, if everyone's healthy, that guy's not going to play. Jalen Smith should be better next year, having hopefully a bit of a bounce back year. If Leighton Vander Esch is healthy, you're going to play 2 linebackers 70-75% of the snaps. You're going to give Sean Lee some reps. So, yeah, you could maybe look trying to upgrade depth over a Luke Gifford or a Chris Covington, or a Justin March or a Joe Thomas. But why would you spend a premium pick for a guy that if everything goes according to plan, isn't going to play that much? Well, it's the according to plan part that matters, right? If the Cowboys go linebacker early, that tells me Leighton Vander Esch is not healthy and the Cowboys have been lying to us, which maybe they are. My assumption right now is I'm going to have to take the Cowboys at their word. I got bigger needs to address than an insurance policy on a linebacker. You want to take one on day 3? Okay, I can get on board with that. You want to spend a top 80 pick on it? That doesn't seem like good roster construction to me unless you are completely convinced that LVE is never going to be the same again. So with that in mind, how many games will Vander Esch play next season? Let me know in the comment section how many you think Vander Esch will be able to play next year. We'll do regular season only, so cap it at 16. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let's move on now back to the offensive side of the ball. Tight end is next up here. You paid Blake Jarwin. You've made it very clear, hey, we believe he is our number 1 guy, at least for this year. If he sucks, well, then we can look into moving on really as soon as next year or more, maybe more likely 2021. He's really not that expensive right now. So he's your clear-cut starter. Now, Jarwin isn't a great blocker, but he's been a better athlete than, Jason Witten certainly was. Brings you more of that seam stretching that you want out of your tight ends. So maybe if you find good value, you can consider it. You have Dalton Schultz. You have Blake Bell, Cole Picatinny's also on the roster. But Jarwin's your number 1. And because you've paid him like it, I don't see the need to go tight end early. If you find good value on day 3, sure, I'm always on board with adding more depth and value at that spot. But I don't think it makes sense to spend a premium pick on a tight end when, in reality, you're not going to use 2 tight ends all that often. And finally, number 10, the quarterback spot. I still think you're going to pay Dak Prescott. That's not what this is about. This need at number 10 is about upgrading at the backup quarterback spot. Do you guys really believe in Cooper Rush? I certainly don't, and I think most of you don't either. Clayton Thorson was a former Eagles late-round pick who was cut. The Cowboys picked him up, put him on the practice squad, still on the roster right now as a futures deal. Maybe a try and gamble later on as well, but I think in the end here, I think for the Cowboys, try and at least look at the backup quarterback spot. I don't know if it's going to work out, but at least have that option, because if Dak Prescott goes down, geez, guys, things do not look great for the Cowboys.
Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.